Welcome to Positive Recovery MD. If you're listening, chances are you want to create happiness around you and thrive in your life. We're glad you're here and you've come to the right place. This podcast will inspire and motivate you to not merely survive your recovery journey, we'll give you the tools to build or strengthen your foundation to thrive and flourish in your life. Each week, we'll come together as a community to have authentic conversations around addiction, recovery, and what matters. Growth and progress, not perfection. All while developing positive habits for you to utilize in your life. To learn more, please visit positiverecoverymd.com to sign up to receive the daily positive interventions that we'll review, as well as gain access to exclusive Positive Recovery content available only to Positive Recovery MD listeners. All right, let's get started.
Hello, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another installment of Positive Recovery MD's podcast with your trio of the hosts with the most, Jamie Damaris, Julie DeNofa, and myself, Jason Powers. Let's introduce our guests in our usual fashion. We have Bree Brown and Sarah Bolton from Soper Eve, but they're from a lot more than that. Why don't you tell us who you are?
So I am Bree Brown, co-founder of Soper Eve, and me at my best would be a memory that comes to mind of when we were in the pandemic, and I, at this point, have been working in behavioral health for over 5 years, and I had a very, very close person to me have to be hospitalized for the first time at a psych hospital. Me at my best was my ability to pull all of my knowledge, all of my experience of helping families navigate this space and be able to provide that to somebody that I love very deeply, and be able to be a support and a pillar of strength for my family system.
Okay, that was great. That really was. Could you tell us, you don't have to disclose specifics, but how did you pull your strengths? What was needed? What did you do exactly?
So exactly, this person was being apprehended by police and I was notified. So I went to the location this was happening, and I was very real with the officers about this person's service to the country and this person's current state and mental wellness or unwellness. And I pleaded with them for them to release this person to my care. And once we were over that, then it was the journey of getting the whole family system on board to get this person the care that they needed immediately. Family members were called in from different sides of Texas, honestly, and we all pulled together to make sure that we were advocating for this person in a space when they were not able to. Put them in the car, everybody huddled around them. Door was not able to be opened, or else it would have been. And we drove there and we said, we're doing this even though you hate this because we love you immensely. And my part in that was being able to get my family system to understand the importance of that.
Boom. Thank you.
I felt that. I really, truly felt that. I mean, you pulled people from different parts of one of the largest states together for someone and their well-being. That was amazing.
Thank you.
So we know a lot more about you than if you were to read your resume. That's sort of the point. I could tell that you are a leader, that you have tons of social intelligence, perseverance, wisdom, love,
Bravery.
All right, SB, what you got for us?
Well, I don't know how to top that. Great job, Bree.
Thanks.
But what comes to mind for me, a time that I've been at my best is I'm a mom. I have a 16-year-old son, and I'm also a woman in long-term recovery. And so when my son hit the teenage years, he started dabbling in some extracurricular activities that were really scary for me. I took him to a facility to see if he would be appropriate for intensive outpatient program. And they told me that he didn't meet criteria because his use was not abuse yet. I refused to believe that that was it for my son, that there was no other option to get him the help that I felt that he needed. And so I gave him one more opportunity to choose to not use, and he did. And so I made the impossibly hard decision to send him to a boarding school. And it was the hardest thing that I've ever done as a parent because I love my son immensely and I want him under my roof. Selfishly, I don't want to share him with other people, but I knew in my heart that that was the best place for him to be. He needed to be away from a certain friend group and certain influences and in a place where he could be safe and protected. And so I made that decision, and it has proven to be the best decision that I've ever made as a parent. He is thriving in boarding school. He has great grades. He's playing lots of sports. He is involved in lots of extracurricular activities, and he was just given an opportunity that I think he wouldn't have had he stayed home, which is very humbling as a parent to admit that I didn't perhaps have what it takes to keep him safe. But ultimately, what I know is that being a good parent doesn't always mean that you're like a superwoman or a super person. It means leaning into difficult decisions so that you can look outside of yourself and really do what's in the best interest of your child.
I'm thinking that Julie and Jamie and I should argue now about like what top 2 character strengths showed up. I don't know. Yeah, you guys think I see humility, perspective, obviously love, courage, and all this, but the humility and the perspectives.
Yes, the perspective is a big one to be able to look back at it. But you had to walk through it. I was thinking more along the lines of dialing into what it took when you were telling him that you have to go, like how you walked through that, how you navigated communicating with him, because I'm sure he was defiant.
I think that because we had set some pretty specific boundaries with him about, whether or not he chooses to use again, this would be the outcome. So I don't think that he was defiant per se, but I do think that he was very surprised that we actually followed through with what we said we would do.
I mean, yeah, the amount of courage and love that it required when you want him under your roof.
Yeah, totally. I miss him so much. The first month that he was gone, so it was during 2020, we sent him to this school. The school was on lockdown, so there was no visitation. I literally did not get to see my baby until December, and I sent him off in August. It was so impossibly hard. I used to just go sit in his room and cry. I missed him so badly. But ultimately, I believed that, for me, my higher power was telling me that this was the right thing to do. And it was letting go. And now 2 years later, I see the fruit of that with, all of the activities he's involved in, with his grades the way that they are, and just how much more responsible he's become. I feel like he is really prepared for college. He knows how to study. He knows how to, do his own laundry and handle his business the way an adult would. So he'll be leaps and bounds ahead of his peers whenever he gets to college.
So I now have a question for Dr. Powers. Would self-regulation be part of creating boundaries?
So self-regulation is the character strength that controls all the other character strengths. So it didn't matter what you were going to say. Does self-regulate? Yes, it does.
So then that was the one. That's the number one character strength. That took a lot of self-regulation.
So for me, when I'm looking at, and for our listeners, we're talking about character strengths. And that's something that at Positive Recovery Centers, we do a lot of strength spotting. And in my relationship with Sarah and Bree, sometimes and this has come up a couple times over the last couple days for me in other situations, it's coming up again. So maybe I'm bringing it, I don't know. But there's somewhat of a motherly thing that I have with both Sarah and Bree that comes up for me. And I've walked in some of the same situations that they've walked on at a much younger age that I am today. But seeing them go through it, the things that they've gone through and how they showed up as their best possible selves to get through those is amazing to me. And I see every single one of the 24 character strengths that are popping up in you. So that fits nicely to what Jamie and Dr. Powers are just speaking to around self-regulation. And those things
combined really lead to how you always find ways to connect with others, and how it's just an essential part of who you are, right? That's when I say you, I'm speaking collectively of Bree and Sarah right now. Both Sarah and Bree are the co-founders of Sober Eve. It is definitely a passion project for them, and how they show up with their families is how they show up in the community with all of the recovery community that they get to be in touch with day in and day out. And so we have a couple fun things that we're going to do today, but I do want to just ask a quick question before we go into the connection cards, Jamie, is tell our listeners a little bit about how the two of you paired up to do this, because you're two magnificently powerful, loving women. And the fact that you two got together on this is amazing to me. So I'd like to hear that.
Sure. Sarah, you wanna take it?
Sure. Yeah. So Bree and I work in behavioral health, and we were on our way to Austin to tour a substance use treatment center. We were sitting in the back seat of the car together, and we were just chit-chatting. And I'm not even sure how it came up, but all of a sudden, Bree said, wouldn't it be cool if there was a sober New Year's Eve party? Like, we could host it where I work. It could be, maybe we could get like 100 people there. We were thinking small fry, right? So I have an event background, event planning background. And I was like, heck yeah, that sounds amazing. Let's make it happen. So we just started putting our heads together and started reaching out to community partners to help fund this endeavor. And our first ever Sober Eve, we had over 300 attendees. It blew us away how many people ended up showing up to our just little dream that we conjured up in the back seat of a car on the way to visit a treatment center.
Yeah, for our listeners, I have to tell you that you both have referred to those early years as like pop-ups. There was nothing pop-up about your early years either. Like it was pop-in, but it was not a pop-up. There was so much going on. The amazing things that you put together for the event itself, it's top notch. And I want to talk a little bit more about that. And also every year you all pick a organization that's recovery oriented that becomes the beneficiary to every single dollar that you earn from the event. And this year it's the Loved One Left Behind. So can you share a little bit about that organization with us? Because I know what that means when I hear it, but I don't know anything about that organization.
Absolutely. So the Loved Ones Left Behind was started and created by Mandy Brown. Mrs. Brown's ex-husband, unfortunately, did complete a suicide. And through that, she started thinking about things that she never knew would come up, different expenses that you have to pay for, whether it be therapy for herself or her children, other things that need to be financially funded. And so her thought was, how can I assist other families and other individuals that unfortunately will experience this? And also her thought was, when she was researching and learning more about suicide and how it affects families, she did learn that when a parent commits or completes suicide, it increases the likeliness of the child by 50% to also follow in that pattern. And so she said, not my child and not any other child that I can assist. I want to make sure that I'm helping out the families of our community in the way that I can. And she feels and felt like financial support was going to be her best way to support the community. And so the Loved Ones Left Behind is a charity that helps families financially to be able to support their needs. So anything that has a cost associated that they can make payments to directly. So it could be your mortgage, it could be for your insurance coverage, insurance premiums, it can be for counseling, anything that kind of comes up as a result of your family being affected in this way is a way that they like to financially support. And so when I met Mandy, I was blown away because she started this organization by dispersing funds from her personal bank account. This was a passion of hers, a passion project very much like Sober Eve has been for us. And every year, since we do pick a nonprofit that supports recovery, I couldn't think of another organization that kept coming to mind for me. And I really wanted to highlight them, increase their visibility, and make sure that the community knows about this resource because they're there and they have such a desire to help.
Yeah, that's a whole lot better than the organization that used to disperse money out of their bank account for Jamie's and my addiction. The parentals. Right?
I've had thoughts of creating some type of nonprofit organization to give back just because of all the money that they siphoned, or sometimes I siphoned it to help me survive.
Yeah, picking an organization like that is super meaningful. And so what can people expect if they are going to attend Sober Eve this year? I know obviously that we have a new venue, we have new things happening. So tell us what they can expect if they're going to attend.
Sure. So this year we are going to be hosting Sober Eve at the Story at Railway Heights. So Railway Heights Market is a new sort of open area restaurant and shopping concept with lots of options for people to grab dinner before they come to the party. And really the goal is to create a space that feels like a nightclub. This isn't like a cheesy junior high dance. This is like literally a nightclub environment with DJs spinning, smoke machines, laser light show, confetti drop at midnight. We'll have a mocktail bar as well as a coffee bar and energy drinks because people in recovery love energy drinks. And it really is just an environment where we bring together hundreds of people that just want to dance and have a good time. For me, when I first got sober, it was the end of June. The 4th of July was coming up right around the corner. And I just remember on the 4th of July, staying at home, angrily scrolling through Facebook, looking at all of my friends having fun at the beach, at the lake, on a river. And I felt like I couldn't go to a body of water because if I did, I would drink because that's what you do on a body of water, right? It didn't even occur to me that I could go to a body of water as a sober woman. And so a lot of people, a lot of feedback that we get from attendees of Sober Eve is that, you know, I haven't celebrated New Year's Eve in years because I didn't feel like there was a place for me to go. And so we've created this safe space that isn't hokey. It's like, it's poppin'. It's a nightclub. And we're so proud to be able to put this on. This will be our 4th one. And we took a 2-year hiatus due to COVID, but now we're back. And this year's theme is the homecoming.
How do you dress for that?
Any way you want.
Yeah, any way you want. In previous years, we have had attendees in full-on ball gowns, and we have had attendees in jean cutoff shorts with a crop tee and some Vans. I love all of it. Just come, whatever you're wearing, it doesn't matter. You know, this year I've heard people saying that they're going to dress up like collegiate, like you would for a homecoming for college or kind of a throwback, things like that. You know, have fun with it. This is your event. We put this event on for the community. So however you want to spend your New Year's Eve, please come dressed in that. Please tell your friends and come make the space your own.
You know, this reminds me of the way you described walking into a nightclub. I'll never forget my first experience at the International Conference of Young People in AA, where you walk into their main dance and there's like lasers, and to see a bunch of people dancing and acting crazy in recovery, it blew me away. And it was one of those things that kept me coming back because I just didn't think that that was possible. And it was just fun to be around that energy and knowing that everybody was sober. Because when I'm in a club, I haven't been in one in a while, but when I would go like the rodeo cook-off, walking through a club where everyone's drunk, it's annoying. They're bumping into you and like they don't know how to walk. And back when I used to get inebriated, I never noticed it because I was doing it too, I guess. But to be around a bunch of sober people having fun, I'm probably coming this year.
Yay.
You would love that.
And it grows year after year. Like they were saying that their first event that they thought was just going to be, they were hoping for 100. Like, I think you had 600 attendees last year. I know, because I say hi to each and every one of them.
We did. Yeah, Julie, thank you so much for your support.
Just curious, and this might spawn something if you don't, but is there a section that y'all have for people to bring their children so that you can celebrate with your children? Or is it just for singles?
Unfortunately, our event is 18 and up. We want to create a nightclub, right? And at a nightclub, you don't have children. And so we really try to keep the event as true as possible to the experience you have on New Year's Eve when you are going to a nightclub. So unfortunately, the kids have to stay home for this event, but maybe a future event in the future will allow children.
There's no kids at nightclubs, but like real nightclubs where people are drunk, they're always acting like kids, right? You walk in and two people are fighting over nothing. Somebody's crying. Somebody's best friends with somebody they just met. Very much like children.
All the time.
Then there's a bouncer at the door. Who's the bouncer at the event?
Julie.
I'm probably the nicest bouncer anybody would ever meet, and very welcoming, because I will tell you that people are excited to be there. Like the enthusiasm and just the gratitude that's expressed, like hearing the conversations of people coming in, and then after they enter into the area of, dance floor, all that kind of stuff, and coming out that have never attended before, they are blown away by just the amount of detail that goes into this planning. So Sarah and Bree have done an amazing job year after year. I can't wait to participate in Sober Eve this year. It starts at 9:00. People can get their tickets on Eventbrite, and we'll have some links along with the podcast when we send that out. Railway Heights Market, right off of Washington Avenue, is the location. And we're super excited as Positive Recovery Centers to be part of it again this year. It's a time for connection, and finding ways for people to connect in recovery is so important to us. We have a way at Positive Recovery Centers that we like to connect with people, and we developed our own connection cards, if you will. So Jamie, you want to talk about those a little bit?
It's called Quality Connections. I don't think you can see it. And I'm going rogue. So these cards were created. It's like a real deck of playing cards. You can actually play spades or hearts with them if you wanted to, but they're actually created to create quality connections. It's something that I feel like I missed a lot. And when you pick a card, there's a question on it. And so you pick a card, you answer the question. However, if you're doing this with someone and they pick a card and they pick the spade, they ask the question to the other person that the other person answers about them. So the spades are like a trump card. So this is how I'm going rogue. Bree, pick a number, or like ace through jack or ace through king. Ace. So I'm going to read the card, and you're going to be asking Sarah this, and Sarah, you're going to answer the question about her. So I'm not shy. I need my readers. What do you most appreciate about me?
Sarah, what do you most appreciate about me?
You are one of the kindest, warmest spirits that I know, and you make me so proud to be your friend and partner in this endeavor. I admire you such a great deal, and I learn from you every year that we do this together. You are wise beyond your years. It blows me away that you are the age that you are, because you just have so much wisdom to share with the world. And I love you very much.
I love you times 1,000. Thank you so much.
So Sarah, you get to pick a card.
My number is 3.
3. So you're going to be asking Bree, what should I continue that supports my best self?
Okay, Bree, what should I continue that supports my best self?
I think, Sarah, that you should continue all of the amazing things that you're doing. You're an amazing mom. You're an amazing woman. You're an amazing friend. You're an amazing partner. And I think that you are amazing in those things because you have a really good job of saying no when you need to and saying yes when you can. And I think being able to have the awareness on which answer to provide people at which time is really suiting you well. And I've learned that from you. So I think that you should continue your self-care and the sorts of being able to set healthy boundaries and choose yourself in the spaces when you need to. And I appreciate you, and I love you as well.
Oh, I love you too. Thank you, Bree.
It's so interesting that your best self introduction seemed to be around boundaries. And then she spoke to it just now about how you are able to say yes and no when needed.
Years of therapy, I'm telling you what.
It's self-love. You have to love yourself to set boundaries to love others. That's awesome. Good job. And so these are the high quality connection cards, which will be coming for sale online soon, but you too will get a deck of cards for yourself along with, I think, a book, correct?
If you don't already have the Positive Recovery Daily Guide, we send that out to everyone who is on the podcast. And now we're adding the deck of cards as well. So we did ask you to participate in our positive intervention. Dr. Powers, you want to talk a minute about positive interventions and how we use them and why we use them?
So if you think about healthcare, in medicine, that is like medical doctors and psychiatrists, the interventions that we use are like medicines or talk therapy or group therapy or surgeries. Surgery is an intervention, medicine's an intervention, therapy is an intervention. With the field of positive psychology, the tool that is used to enhance flourishing is called a positive intervention. And it is an intentional activity aimed to enhance or fill up one of the 5 buckets where you find human happiness. That's P for positivity, E for engagement, R for relationships, M for meaning and purpose, and A for achievement. So we use them in positive recovery centers along with the tools of the trade. So we don't replace anything. We still talk about grief and trauma, still, unclog the pipes, if you will. But we also add the building and being strength-based. So the Positive Recovery Daily Guide is a calendar's worth of positive interventions that you can do. We alluded to, you guys are going to get that book as well.
We chose the day that starts with a quote from Kay Nair. With courage, you will dare to take risks, have the strength to be compassionate, and the wisdom to be humble. Courage is the foundation of integrity. So the positive intervention that Bree and Sarah worked on was to use courage to overcome every instance of diversion. Anytime your ego, fear, or a self-serving voice tries to keep you from doing the next right thing or the next right thing, use courage to maintain integrity. Bring intention to every one of your experiences today by literally asking yourself, what is the right thing to do? How can I do this thing rightly? So, Sarah, what did this look like for you?
I'm going to put it in terms of this event. This event to put on definitely takes some courage. We really didn't know the first time that we hosted if anyone was going to show up. And for me, I have an anxious attachment style and fear of abandonment. So the thought of pouring all of this energy into an event and no one showing up was like terrifying to me. And every year, we have to just really have faith that sponsors are going to come through, that people are going to attend and show up, because these nonprofit beneficiaries that we choose, we really, really believe in their missions and we want to be able to support them financially at the end of the event. So putting on this event definitely takes courage. It's been very rewarding to see it through.
Thanks, Sarah. How about you, Bree?
Specifically today and having courage, the line of work that I'm in, I help families get connected to treatment, resources, therapy, whatever they need, in the behavioral health space. So while also being an individual that is going through life as difficult as it is and as it comes at you fast, for me today and most days, it just takes courage for me to keep going. I have to prioritize the families that I'm speaking with. Julie and I, we spoke about this before, but I'm really intentional about the fact that oftentimes when I'm first speaking to a family or an individual, it is likely on one of the worst days of their life. They're not doing well if they're speaking to me, or someone that they love so much is not doing well. And so having the courage for me to allow them to borrow some of my courage, that this is going to be okay, that we are going to move through this together, and that this is my personal cell phone we're talking on. I'm attached to you for life. I haven't changed my number since middle school. So you can reach out to me, my families. I'd love for them to feel like I am an extension of their family unit. And I want them to be able to borrow my courage as we move along this process. That's my way that I've been showing up courageously.
Both of you show up so courageously, and you both live in a way that you know that there's no shades of gray with integrity, right? Like you're doing the next right thing in each and every way that you're helping the people that you're helping, and even how you go about your own personal lives. Dr. Powers, in terms of, pulling that apart a little bit for some of our listeners, is there anything else that you kind of want to dive into there, or Jamie?
Before Dr. Powers chimes in, I love that it was about courage and bravery, just because, and I want to speak it because I haven't been able to share it with anyone. Brene Brown just released a podcast yesterday, and it was about creating safe space and changing that, because if we create a safe space, I don't know how y'all are going to show up. So how can I say that we're creating a safe space? And she wanted to change the language to create the container and called it a brave space, and creating a brave space for people to be brave and courageous, because that's what it takes to walk into, like for me to walk into Sober Eve. It would take some courage to have to go on the dance floor and not have something to drink to cover my thoughts around how poorly I dance. So I just loved it and love language. And that's one of my favorite is bravery and courage. And I love what y'all have created.
That's the beauty of having Sarah and Bree, someone like the two of them, that they're just so poignant. They're so, they speak their words so intentionally, and they show up and they deliver. And so I hope our listeners will look on Eventbrite for Sober Eve Houston. The cost in advance is $20. I think at the door, it's going to be
$30.
So get your tickets early so these ladies don't have to worry about how many tickets they sell and how many people are going to be dancing. And I am so grateful to both of you for being on Positive Recovery MD podcast. I love you both dearly.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you, Julie. We love you too.
Yes. And remind me the name of the organization again.
Absolutely. So the event itself is called Sober Eve. This year, it's 2023, the homecoming, and our beneficiary is the loved ones left behind.
Sarah, can I borrow your letter jacket? Don't you still have the tuba when you lettered in tuba in high school?
I don't have my letter jacket anymore. Isn't that a bummer?
Yeah.
I wish I did.
You still play the tuba?
He's joking. I was on dance team. The only musical instrument I've ever played is the recorder in the 4th grade.
I think we all got stuck playing the recorder at
We
one
did.
point or another.
My daughter has an instrument that she has to play in school and has to bring home. And oh boy, like learning to play an instrument, it impacts everyone.
Yeah.
It does.
It takes some time, a lot of practice.
Even
She'll never
Mozart
listen to this
wasn't
podcast.
Mozart when he started playing. Sort of reiterate how Julie introduced both of you. Bree, I don't know you as much, but there was certainly a lot of sort of motherly energy around what you're doing with Sober Eve. And I look forward to getting to know you. Like I know Sarah, just that the experience on Zoom is a little different because I just like to stand next to her. I don't have to say anything. I just feel I guess it's this maternal like love or something. It's just always a pleasure to just her back is turned. She's talking to someone else. I don't care. I'm like, she said, get away from me. Get away from me. I got a restraining order one time. No. So guys, go to Sober Eve. If at all you're looking for fun. Obviously it's December 31st this year. Well, thanks for joining us. Remember, this is not a dress rehearsal. This is all we got. So please be good to yourselves and be good to each other. Until next time, signing off.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Positive Recovery MD. Don't forget to visit positiverecoverymd.com to sign up to get your daily positive intervention sent straight to your inbox. Be sure to subscribe to Positive Recovery MD on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to your podcasts to receive an automatic download when a new episode drops. And as always, if you or someone you know needs help, visit positiverecovery.com or call 877-4-SOBRIETY, which is 877-476-2743. We are here to help.